Welcome to Real Life and Archetypes. My name is Marina, so I'm going to do an archetypal exploration of Game of Thrones. I don't know how I'm going to structure this, but I'm going to begin with the first episode, Winter is Coming, and already the title is evoking an archetype, which is what I call the older self. This is about facing the harsh conditions, difficulty, it's a change of mindset. This is about really confronting a dimension of our human experience that is difficult, where we have to do things that are very difficult and that are going to force us to grow up, to become older. Okay, so this is what this is all about. Now, from the perspective of the hero's journey, I will do another video to look at each character and see what is it that they're facing as heroes at the beginning of this adventure, because when you get the first episode, you're going to pay attention to a lot of information that you're going to get about the story. Right now, I'm just going to go into the first 10 minutes of the first episode because there's a lot going on. Now, the older self, this is about the part of us that is going to get older, that is going to accomplish or achieve higher levels of being. Okay, so you're going to see throughout the first episode so many references to, first of all, figures of authority, older people, and then you're going to have to look at the younger ones and how they're going to deal with this new adventure that is going to begin. And it's about winter that is coming and what it means. And I just want to show you how we can see archetypes show up in life, even though this is a work of fiction, but we can use it as a reference. It's a lot of fun to look at that. And the show is, I mean, Game of Thrones has a lot of material to look at from that perspective. So let's begin with the first image here. So this is the beginning of the first episode. We have this big wall. We are told that winter is coming, and we begin with really harsh conditions. And there's this huge wall. Now, I've said before, the older self is about higher levels of being. It's about climbing as well, okay? The older self, figures of authority, figures of power, hierarchy, climbing levels, right? Especially of power. This is usually the older self. You can think of it also as VIPs, whatever is about dynamics of someone older in power, in governance, anything like that. So the wall is a huge reference to this archetype because you climb, and also you can fall. This is actually quite an important thing we will see in a second. So let's get to the second image. And here I just wanted to show, we're introduced in the beginning of the first episode to this paranormal or mysterious stuff going on, okay? So that increases the tension here, this ominous sense that something very, very difficult is going to be happening. But this is a child. And since we're talking about the older self, I found it very interesting to show a child as one of the first characters. And now we're going to Winterfell. So winter is coming. We saw the wall. I spoke of falling, going high up, but also falling. Here, this is called Winterfell. And the situation is that there is somebody from the Night's Watch. So these are the people guarding the wall. One of them, they have witnessed this horrible scene that we see at the beginning, and he is deserting. He's so scared. He's deserting, but he wants to tell the message, give the message in Winterfell to the ruler of Winterfell. So another component of the older self, as you get older or you have, more positions of responsibility, it's about duty, it's about right and wrong, and how we are going to represent some qualities like that. So this guy already is deserting his duties towards the Night's Watch, but actually he's, riding the horse to tell people about what he witnessed. And that's actually an act of courage. And we're going to see that in a moment. So we're in Winterfell, and right now we're going to see the Stark family. And I want to show you, again, thinking about the older self, the dynamics between older and younger. We have the older brothers and the younger boy, Bran. And look at what Jon Snow tells his little brother. Go on, father is watching. So father is also related to the older self archetype. There's another archetype that has to do with it, but father is definitely a figure of authority. And here, look at this image, and I'm just going to remove myself from here for a second. Look at this image, because you see the parents are in height, okay? They're high up and they're looking over, watching over their children. What is also interesting is that it's not just father who is watching, but also mother. Interesting comment by Jon Snow, because we can see, and we will see, that there is a relationship in this couple that is interesting. So you see, now we see this aspect visually with the camera from high up to down. These are older people looking at younger people. And now this is Ned Stark, who is making a joke, and again, a reference to time and age. Which one of you was a marksman at 10? You're going to see, this is what is so interesting about archetypes, the older self. So everything is going to have some connection to time, consequences, being high up, authority, legitimacy, a lot of things that have to do with growing up and having to look at the harsh realities. This is what winter is really about. And every reference to time is about this archetype, the older self. You're older and you have already a position of authority just by nature, by your age, when it's superior to other people, okay? So this is a huge archetype. And again, we all have at least a little bit of all of the archetypes, and then a concentration sometimes of, just a few based on the birth charts, which is what I do, which is a reading of archetypes based on the birth chart. This is how I sort of categorize archetypes, okay? So this is how I look at it. So again, a reference to time. So this is, my point is so that you can see how you can recognize the presence of archetypes. And now this is a father telling his son, hey, keep practicing. So the words and the transmission of a figure of authority to someone who is younger. And this is very encouraging. Now, why does this matter? Because we're going to see how in that first episode, we're going to show figures of authority, and they're not all the same. And Ned Stark is one figure of authority that is going to be shown as having, some very good quality as somebody who has a position of authority. And you can see that he's encouraging towards his younger son, and humorous about the process of, being initiated into higher levels of being, growing up here. And now this is the older brother, Rob, who is also giving advice and instructions. That's very much of the older self. Giving instructions and warnings, that's part of the older self. And now, well, this is just an image of Arya. We'll talk about her in other episodes, but this is a great interruption by this archetypal hero, Arya, who is interrupting the practice and is actually very good. I'll talk about her relationship with the archetype. So now we have this announcement about the deserter from the Night's Watch. And this is an announcement that is made to the ruler, who is Ned Stark on the left, but also his wife is next to him. This is interesting. Now that's an older person, okay? And now look at this comment. This is Lady Catherine who said that, I think. Yes, do you have to? she knows what they're referring to. As an audience, we don't know anything about what all of this is referring to, actually. But have to, that's again language, very important. Have to, should, I must, I have to, I should. That's language of responsibility, of authority. And you're going to see this old man's response, who says, this is Ned Stark first telling his wife, he swore an oath, Cat. He's actually referring to the deserter. He swore an oath, and now he broke that oath. So he broke his responsibilities. And the older man to the left, he says, the law is the law, my lady. So the law is also part of the older self archetype, because when you grow up, you have to become more and more aware of the harsh reality, the real world, where, you know, there's organized society, there's hierarchy, there are laws, and there are rules. Those are things that are established over a long period of time because they are considered to work. So they are ingrained in society, and they dictate the behaviors of a lot of people so that there is order and not chaos. And society is something that as we get older, we're going to want to integrate. Okay, that's why this older self is actually very important for all of us in many, many ways. So the law is the law. And now Ned Stark is saying a huge thing. He's telling his wife, tell Bran, that's the youngest son, tell Bran he's coming too. And look at Lady Catherine. She's not happy about this. And another reference to time. 10 is too young to see such things. Okay, you see how, again, we have references to time, age. And now Ned Stark is telling her he won't be a boy forever. And winter is coming. Look at this image. So he is now performing his role as a person of authority. He is the ruler, and therefore he applies and abides by the laws. And he is making a decision that his youngest boy, and this is a patriarchal society, so the males are going to have a specific role, obviously. It's the Middle Ages, even though it's a fantasy show. That's why the relationship between Ned and Lady Stark is very interesting as well. But Ned is telling her he won't be a boy forever, and winter is coming. He has to grow up. He has to become aware. He has to be initiated into the harsh realities of life. Okay, so that's what Ned is saying. Now, we're going to go to this scene, and I'm not going to show any gory stuff, okay? So this is just cinematic, amazing image. And now we're going to witness, I won't show it, but this is about how the deserter has to be dealt with according to the law. And it is that he broke his oath, so he's going to be sentenced and executed. So let's go. Now, look at this guy. This is the deserter who witnessed something horrible, and he wants to tell people. And he's very aware. Awareness, huge aspect of everything, and certainly of this. And he knows, he says, I know I broke my oath. So he broke his responsibilities, but he's very aware. So why is he doing that? And I know I'm a deserter. So awareness, this is expression of awareness. And I want you to pay attention to Ned Stark's face as a ruler, as somebody in a position of great responsibility. Again, being high up is actually a position where, you know, when you're going to become more and more aware and knowledgeable about the real world and real life, responsibility, being higher up, is going to increase the burden of responsibility. It's really a big thing. As you get older, you become more aware of that. When you're young, you really don't understand that. So look at him. He is not pleased about having to do what he has to do. Again, obligation, duty. I should have gone back to the wall and warned them. This is another word, language of the older, of somebody older. You can warn. When you're an older person, you have more knowledge, more experience, and you have, when you express that archetype and you project that archetype, it's very severe because you have this awareness of time, consequences of your experiences, and this is a mindset that is very serious, okay? So this guy, he knows what he did, and he knows he has to face the consequences now, the ultimate consequences. He's going to lose his life. This is actually a hero, somebody who knows that he's going to die, but he felt actually the duty that he had to communicate that to people. So on one hand, you can look at it and say, well, he deserted the Night's Watch. And on the other hand, he's a hero. I should have gone back to the wall. I should have and warned them, but I saw the White Walkers. So he's talking about, people who know the show, they know what it is. It's about creatures with very supernatural powers, and he is very scared, as you can see. People need to know. This is expression of the messenger. He has a message, and he is a heroic messenger. He's telling something, and he's going to lose his life for this. And now you have this image showing this older man who seemed to represent like an advisor, and the first words we saw him say basically was, the law is the law. So that's like his representation, right? He is the guardian of the law, this man. So that's what he represents. And now the deserter is saying, again, language of messenger. If you can get word to my family. And now look at this. Tell them I'm no coward. So this is a powerful image. Now, like I said before, this guy is actually doing something very heroic. He knows he's going to lose his life, but he's a heroic messenger. And he wants his family to know that he's not a coward. And indeed, he's not. He's going to lose his life. But why is the camera on Bran? This is the young child who has been requested, asked to witness this extraordinary moment, an execution of someone who broke the law. And he's very serious. To be serious, that is a trait of the older self, okay? So Bran is being initiated into the harsh realities and the real world with quite a scene here. Again, we're looking at the scene, and I wanted to show you because it's just a very cinematic image. I'm not going to show anything unpleasant in my videos, but I want you to see this. Let me move myself out of here, and I want you to look at Ned Stark, because this is the beginning of a ritual of this sentencing and the execution of the deserter. You see the qualities of Ned Stark as an older person. This is the whole point here. We're going to see what kind of ruler, person in authority, Ned Stark is. That's why we are seeing all of this. He's taken this very seriously. It's not fun, and he doesn't take any pleasure, unlike quite a bunch of others that we see in the show. Okay, so that's why this is important. And this image, again, we are down looking up at authority. Look at this image, this angle is just extraordinary. And his eyes are closed because he's going to internalize this entire scene. And now he's reciting what legitimizes his actions in the name of his boss, his ruler, Robert of the House Baratheon. Oh, I managed to pronounce that. Now, while he's performing the ritual as the ruler, we have this image, and I'm just going to get myself out of here again. This is Bran, the youngest son, and you have Jon Snow, his brother, we assume, who says, don't look away, while Ned Stark is, performing the entire ritual and reciting what he has to say. Don't look away. Father will know if you do. Look at Bran, completely focused. He understands that this is an important moment. The word important, that's another piece of vocabulary of the older self. It's important, it's serious, and he is told by his brother, an older person, do not look away. Father will know if you do. How will he know? Well, we're going to see that in a moment. Why? So, I'm not going to show. Again, this is Ned Stark. I sentence you to die. He's closing his eyes. This is very, very serious to him. He doesn't take it lightly. This is an image and an expression of just how heavy this moment is. Again, all of these things are related to that archetype. And this is our little boy here. He's told, do not look away. And he's looking, everyone is watching, and now it's dawn. And look at his face. So remember a moment ago, Jon Snow said to him, do not look away, because if you do, Father will know. How will the Father know? Well, because that's the kind of face you expect to see in a young child who has witnessed his first initiation into the harsh reality of life. You can see that in his face. And that's why his father will have known if he had looked away. You did well. So this is reinforcement of the initiation into an older self. This is a huge moment for Bran. Now, imagine this is really a separation from childhood, an enormous moment in his life. The first initiation into getting older, okay? Away from boyhood, now into getting older, a younger man he's going to become because of that massive moment. And now, this is Rob actually embracing his younger brother. They're walking away. And now, this is the father, Ned Stark. And look at what he's telling his young son. You understand why I did it. So this is a father now, a person of authority, a figure of authority, who wants to explain his actions. And so this is the teachable moment of an older self to a younger person. Jon said he was a deserter. Now, Bran here, the young boy, who is 10 years old, he's repeating and relaying what his older brother told him. Very typical. When you're not old enough, you're going to look for examples and mimic what you've been told. That's a natural thing. But the father wants to reiterate, but do you understand why I had to kill him? I had. Again, words of the older self. I have to. Our way is the old way. Well, what do you know? Another reference to time, the old way. So that's what Bran says. And the father says something massively important here. Look at his face. This is not a moment of joy. And this is so important for the young child, because a child right now, when you're young, what is most active when you're young, and even when you're older and you're vulnerable, you're emotional, okay? Your emotions are more activated and you're going to absorb a lot of things. So right now, this young kid is being faced by his father high up, who is explaining his deed. And Ned Stark is projecting qualities of being serious, great sobriety about this moment, and explaining. And he says, I had to, because he has to apply the law. And what he says here is the most important a marker of Ned Stark character to me. The man who passes the sentence should swing the sword. What does that mean? It means that when you are really responsible as somebody in power, in a position of authority, in whatever form it takes, you can either be, a bad example or a good example. A good example is somebody who is accountable. He did it himself. So he's going to have to live with the weight of what he's done. So he passes the sentence and he swings the sword. And this is what he wants to teach his younger son. This is about accountability. And you can tell that these are huge qualities of Ned Stark. And now, Bran, as a young person, he's just curious. Is it true he saw the White Walkers? So we'll see further along, that the White Walkers are like an urban legend, I guess, for the people, because now Ned Stark explains the White Walkers have been gone for thousands of years. Well, aren't we referring to time a lot in this first 10 minutes of the first episode? And I'm talking about winter is coming and the older self archetype and growing up and becoming aware of the harsh reality. The White Walkers have been gone for thousands of years. So it's not 10 years, it's thousands, which means that obviously what the deserter has done is even more courageous. Who's going to believe him? Nobody believes him at this point, obviously, because we witnessed in the first few minutes of the episode that the White Walkers indeed are back. And so the tension increases in the first episode, and this is absolutely appropriate when you're going to tell a story, right? So anyway, Ned Stark is telling his son, no, they have been gone for thousands of years, and time, the past is the proven past is quite a good predictor of the future. Usually, you would think if this hasn't happened for thousands of years, it's unlikely that it's going to happen in the near future, and that's what his father is teaching his son. So he was lying. Now, this is an inquisitive boy, and the father says, a madman sees what he sees. Oh boy, is he wrong about that. So this is the last image here, and the deserter is not a madman, but right now nobody believes him because, of course, time is ruling over this episode. This hasn't happened for thousands of years. This cannot be true. I can't believe it. So this is what I wanted to talk about. I'll do the rest in other episodes because I want to keep it, not too long. That's already almost 30 minutes. And I hope you liked it. If you liked it, please support this channel. Thank you so much. I hope you've been able to see how we can recognize, the presence of archetypes. And here, that's all about growing up. So I will talk eventually about the hero's journey and how every character at the beginning of an adventure is in a position of the hero, in the hero's journey. They are in their ordinary world and something is about to happen and they will be, propelled into an adventure. And here, looming over everything is this older self archetype growing up and the passage of time. It's a long show. A lot of things are going to happen. So how are they going to fare? What qualities are we going to see in each character that might tell us something about what the nature of their adventure is going to be? This is something that we will talk about. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.